Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. My name is Eleanor Whitmore, I am 72 years old. Time has gently sculpted my face, but my eyes have retained the vivacity of yesteryear. I have survived storms, the wear and tear of days, and the wear and tear of love too. I am widowed for 6 years, since Franklin, my husband of 43 years, passed away in his sleep one January evening. Peacefully. Too peacefully for me, who was not. With him, I built a modest, honest life, rooted in the values of respect, hard work, and loyalty. He, a mechanic with a passion for engines and the blues, I, a teacher and then principal of an elementary school in a small town in Colorado. We didn't have a fortune, no. But we had dignity, this rare and precious good that we cultivate in the silence of simple days. Every dollar counted. We planned, we set aside. Franklin repaired his customers' cars as if he were healing their lives. I taught my students with the conviction that every child hid a world. In the summers, we went camping near Gunnison Lake. In the winter, we gathered around homemade soup. The years passed. Our children, David and Marilyn, have become adults. The nest has emptied, but our house has never ceased to be full of warmth. After his death, I kept the house, this old white cottage with the flowery porch, and this garden, which he had patiently planted, peonies, daisies, an old apple tree. I kept memories, photo albums, handwritten greeting cards, the old radio in the kitchen. And most importantly, I kept the desire to love, of give. Give time, listen, and sometimes, a little more. Among my greatest joys was me 3 grandchildren, Chloe, the eldest, with a lively gaze and overflowing dreams, Jeremy, the discreet teenager, keen on video games. And Haley, the youngest, lively as a campfire. I watched them grow up, come and spend weekends at my house, ask for my Sunday pancakes, snuggle up to me so I could tell them stories. I loved them with an absolute, gentle, almost silent love. So, when one spring evening Chloe, 24 years old, called me to tell me that she was getting married, my heart skipped a beat. "Grandma, you'll be proud. His name is Travis Mitchell. He is amazing." She described to me this young man she had met at university, intelligent, funny, ambitious, from a good family in Missouri. "I want this to be the best day of my life, Grandma." And I smiled, moved. "You deserve it, my dear." Chloe was brilliant, a graduate in digital marketing. She always knew what she wanted. She had the confidence of the new generations, this taste for the world, for beautiful, modern, well-organized things. She spoke quickly, thought even faster, and wanted everything to be perfect. I listened to her with pride and tenderness. "So, almost naturally, I said, I could help you a little, if you want. You know, with the wedding." What was meant to be a simple nudge has transformed, without me realizing it, into almost complete support. First, it was the room. She dreamed of a chic estate in Boulder, with a view of the mountains. "Grandma, it's $7,200 for the weekend. That's a good deal, don't you think?" I didn't dare say no. Then the caterer, $85 per person for 150 guests. "We want a vegetarian fusion menu. It's trendy." Me again. Then came the dress, a sumptuous piece of Italian lace, $3,500. She told me it was the dress of his life. I signed the check. The photographer? The DJ? The flowers? "Travis thinks it would be nice to have everything covered. We thought of you." "And always," I said. "Of course, darling. If it makes you happy." Was not naive, I knew the amounts. I did my sums. And I had the means, not without effort, not without sacrifice, but I had the means. What he had not anticipated, it was the shift in meaning. I no longer gave to help. He had to give. It had become an expectation. A given. I was presented with invoices, choices already made, and they simply waited for me to approve. I naively thought that love justified these gestures. That my engagement discret would be recognized, greeted perhaps with a word of thanks, a look, a gesture. Or at least, appreciated. But in this story, I was the bank, not the grandmother, and I only understood it too late. The wedding took place on Saturday in May, like in modern fairy tales. The sky was a clear blue, dotted with a few shy clouds. The air was soft, caressing, and carried the scent of freshly cut peonies. I had prepared myself carefully. I had spent more than an hour in front of my mirror, alone in my silent bathroom. I had chosen a pale blue dress, flowing, elegant, bought for the occasion. Nothing flashy, but full of softness and dignity. I had pulled my hair up in a simple bun, pinned with a mother-of-pearl pin that Franklin had given me 30 years ago for our wedding anniversary. It still bore the warmth of his hand, in my memory. My shoes were comfortable. At my age, you think of comfort before fashion, but clean and well-polished. And in my bag, I had slipped a small envelope containing a gift certificate that I had planned to give to Chloe after the ceremony. Because deep down, despite the fatigue, I was happy to be there. When I arrived at the estate site, the atmosphere was electric, bubbly. Laughter, raised voices, camera flashes. Young women in pastel dresses were taking selfies, men were laughing around the cocktail bar. No one had seen me arrive. I moved forward slowly, scanning the area, hoping to catch a glimpse Marilyn or David. Instead, I came across Amanda, one of the bridesmaids, whom I barely knew. She greeted me with a smile that was too wide, a little frozen. "Ah, Mrs. Whitmore. Here's your badge." She handed me a small, beautifully decorated card, attached to a gold clip. I read it. 2 seconds. 3. The old lady who pays for everything. Time stood still. I was breathless. At first I thought it was a bad joke. An inside joke. A clumsy joke. Someone was sure to exclaim, "Oh no, we made a mistake, hold on to the real badge." But no. Around me, people were laughing softly. Not maliciously. But with a light, almost knowing laugh, as if this nickname was known to all, accepted. As if it were obvious, I was the one who pays, not the one who is celebrated. I saw Jeremy, my grandson, 20 years old, takes out his phone and takes a picture of me, badge in view. "Come on, Grandma, smile. It's funny, isn't it?" I looked at him. I felt my cheeks heat up. My heart was beating too fast. I didn't know what to say. So I looked down. I walked slowly to the reception room. I looked for a table. My name was written on a card at the back of the room, near the decorative plants, far from the stage, far from the head table. I sat between two strangers, friends of Travis's family, I was told. They talked about golf and financial investments throughout the meal. No one noticed my silence. In Chloe, the bride. In Travis, the groom. In my children, yet present. No one came to shake my hand. Nobody told me, "Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you for everything." When it came time for the speeches, I still had hope. I stood up straight and looked toward the stage. Chloe spoke, beautiful as a movie star, her eyes shining with emotion. She thanked God, his parents, his college friends, the florist, the photographer, even the caterer for the best risotto of his life. But not me. Not a word. Not a syllable. It was then that I felt a dull pain go through my chest. An old pain, that often visibility, the one reserved for aging women. Those who give everything, but to whom we no longer even offer a glance. So, without making a noise, I stood up. I left the room quietly. I crossed the lawn still bathed in light. I walked to my car, alone, in my comfortable shoes. I came back before the wedding cake. And in my bag, the envelope with the gift certificate was still there. Sealed. Crumpled. The day after, the house was silent, as if frozen in disappointed expectation. I'd gotten up early, out of habit. I'd made coffee, toasted 2 slices of bread. I'd even set a small table for 2, as if someone was coming over. Maybe Marilyn? Maybe Chloe, to talk about her night, to laugh at everything she'd forgotten to say yesterday, to apologize, or even just, to be there. More nothing. Not a call. Pass a text. Not a thank you. Not even an emoji, not even a rushed, automated, thanks again for everything line, the void. Hours passed. The coffee went cold. The toast was as hard as cardboard. I sat there in my kitchen, staring at the tablecloth. I heard the clock tick like a cruel reminder that the world continued without me. The days followed, all similar. No news. I flipped through the photo album from my wedding to Franklin. Then the one from Chloe's christening. I saw her as a baby, in my arms. I saw her first steps in the garden, her toothless smile when she lost her first tooth. I saw her dressed as a witch for Halloween, as a ballerina for Christmas. I saw her cry in my arms when she was afraid of thunderstorms. And now? Now she was laughing at me. She had belittled me, humiliated me. And she hadn't even called me. A week later, the phone finally rang. I recognized the number of David, my son. I picked up immediately, my heart beating faster. Maybe he was going to tell me that Chloe wanted to come see me. Maybe he wanted to apologize for leaving me alone at that table, without a word. But that wasn't it. His voice was tense, fast, breathless. Mom. Chloe left. With Travis. Gone. What do you mean, gone? They emptied their joint account. They left the apartment. All their clothes are gone, not a trace. They blocked everyone on social media. We don't even know where they are. It's like they've disappeared. I remained silent. Not shocked. No surprise. Not even angry. No, I was emptied. Like an overturned vase, bottomless. A shell. A hollow heart. There were no tears. Not this time. Just one immense fatigue, a decades-old weariness. The feeling of having been drained to the core. I slowly put the receiver down and stayed there, sitting in my chair with my hands on my knees. A long silence followed. And in that silence, I understood. This wedding, this ceremony to which I had given so much, had never been a family event. It was not a sacred union. It was a well-packaged project, a showcase, a social performance. And one-way emotional investment. I had put all my love into it. My time. My money. My name. My memories. They had taken it. Swallowed it. Consumed it. Without an ounce of gratitude. Iz was no longer a mother. Iz was no longer a grandmother. I had become a walking credit card. A silent bank. And name on a check. And now that the account was emptied, the story had been told, the photos had been posted on Instagram. They were gone. Without a word. Without a glance. And it was at that precise moment, in that silent living room, that something inside me broke. But at the same time, something else has awakened. Slowly. A new lucidity. Coldly calm. It wasn't me who disappeared from them. They are the ones who have disappeared from my life. 3 months later, as autumn began to carpet the sidewalks with burnt leaves, I made a decision. I couldn't live in that house anymore. The one Franklin and I had built brick by brick, to the rhythm of children's laughter, impromptu birthday parties, rainy Sundays spent reading by the fire. That house was beautiful, yes. But it became a crypt of painful memories, a museum of the past, where each piece reminded me of what I had given, and what I had lost. The living room, where Chloe was playing Scrabble on the rug. The kitchen, where she licked spoons full of cake batter. The office where I had signed the wedding checks with a light heart. Everything was loaded with affectionate ghosts, suddenly became bitter. So I took a deep breath. and I put the house for sale. I chose a small apartment on the second floor off a quiet building, not far from the municipal library. A place on a human scale, bright, with Anaro terrace where I placed a few pots of geraniums, basil, lavender. It was modest, but it was a new, simple cocoon, without waiting, without memories engraved in the walls. In the morning, I would drink my coffee outside, wrapped in a hand-knitted shawl, listening to the sound of passers-by. There I discovered the silence that heals, different from the one that hurts. And in that silence, something sprouted. The Franklin and Eleanor Foundation was born one sleepless night. I was sitting in my armchair, looking out the window at the city lights. And suddenly, I thought, why continue to wait for love from those who no longer give it? Why not turn this sorrow into an opportunity for others? I took back my savings, the dividends, what was left from the sale of the house. The money I had set aside for my grandchildren. The same money they had never known how to honor. And I reoriented it. The foundation was going to offer scholarships to bright young women from modest families, to help them achieve their dreams of university, art, medicine, writing. It didn't matter where they came from, as long as they had the flame, the courage, and the respect for the gift. Each file would be read carefully. Each story would carry weight. And each aid would bear the name of Franklin and Eleanor, as an extension of what we had always wanted to embody, sharing, without flattery or obligation. One day of November, as the trees were becoming bare and the light was getting lower, I found in my mailbox a crumpled envelope, without a stamp, without a sender. It seemed to have crossed a world before landing at my house. As I took it, my heart tightened. I recognized Chloe's nervous writing. I went in, put the envelope on the table, and stood there, staring at it. Maybe an hour. Maybe 2. Then I opened it. And I read it. Grandmother. I'm sorry. I'm ashamed. Travis left me after spending everything. He manipulated me. I have no more money. I have no more friends. And most importantly, I have no more you. I miss you. Sorry. Please write to me. Chloe. I read it again. 3 times. Then a 4th. There were traces of faded ink. Perhaps tears. Or maybe not. I wanted to feel something clear, anger, joy, relief. But all I felt was a slow, gray, warm wave. A tiredness of soul. A nagging question. Was it too late? I didn't tear up the letter. I didn't ignore it. I simply stored in a box, at the bottom of a drawer, with other mementos, a solitary earring, a photo of Franklin in the garden, a small child's bracelet with the name, Chloe, in colorful letters. I didn't answer. Not right away. Because I know now that a pardon is not a card you send, it's a house you rebuild. Not with words. More with acts. And if one day, Chloe comes knocking at my door again, I might open it for her. But first she'll have to leave an apology at the threshold, take off his shoes of arrogance, and walk barefoot on the tears she sowed. Today, the days no longer have the same taste as before. They are neither bitter nor sweet. They are soft, like a fine rain on an uplifted face. I get up every morning without a busy schedule, but with a clear mission. I give lectures in high schools, community centers, libraries. I speak in front of young women, often between 16 and 25 years old. They listen to me, some distracted at first, others wary, as if an old lady could teach them nothing. But little by little, looks change. Because I don't talk to them about morality. I talk to them about respect, of dignity, and what it is like to give without losing, of to love oneself enough not to dissolve in the love of others. I tell them about the illusion that we often have, especially when we are a woman, that we have to serve one's place, always giving more, always too much. And the strength it takes to say non, with calm, with firmness, with love. I tell them about memory, of transmission, of this tenderness which is too often confused with servitude. At the end of my speeches, there is always a suspended moment. A charged silence, a diffuse emotion. And then, often, a hand rises. A timid voice asks, "Mrs. Whitmore, have you forgiven?" I take a deep breath. And I answer, "Forgiveness, my darlings, is not a gift that we offer to another. It is a freedom that we give ourselves. But it can only come after the awareness, the sincere change. And he can never come under pressure. Sometimes, at the exit, young women are waiting for me. Some hug me without saying anything. Others, with moist eyes, whisper to me, "You reminded me of my grandmother. I wish she had heard you. Thank you. Thank you for saying out loud what I couldn't think to myself." And I smile. Not that sad, resigned smile you learn with age. No. A deep, peaceful, free smile. Because deep down, I am not the old lady who pays for everything. I am Eleanor Whitmore. Women. No longer at the service of the whims of others, but bearer of my own voice. Mother. Not only biological, but also symbolic, mother of ideas, of causes, of futures to defend. Builder. New links, bridges between generations, solid foundations. And above all, today, I pay, for myself. I pay for my well-being. I pay for my silences, finally listened to. I pay for the seeds I sow, and which owe me nothing. I pay in self-esteem, in chosen time, in newfound freedom. And it is, finally, the best investment of my life.